Okay, we're very happy to have you out here tonight. We're going to do our annual What's New at Family Search. And there was a lot done. Now, I haven't done this since January of last year. So this is actually going to include all of last year and so far this year. And so, why do we do this? What's new? It's because this isn't a static site, it's forever evolving. So I told the live group this with me tonight. The only constant with FamilySearch is change. And there's always changes. But I do feel there's been less changes as the site is aging. The changes that they are doing are basically improvements, not brand new features for the most part, until RootsTech came up just recently. And there's, so it still occasionally has new features. And many changes are now being done so that the site is consistent and has a common design across the site so that everything kind of works the same way. Because they were finding that they had a lot of things where they'd gone off in different tangents on different screens and you had to do different things on different pages. So they wanted to make everything more consistent. And so what we're going to do is do a chronological walkthrough. So as you want to come back and look at this, if you want the more recent things, go towards the back end of the presentation, because the back end will have the things that are the most recent. We're going to start out with January of last year. And we won't be doing anything with ordinances and all the changes there, because we'll have a separate presentation coming up in one of these presentations later, talking about just that topic. Okay, so we're going to start in January of 2023, when the former Help Center was found under the question mark in the upper screen, turned into Help and Learning. And we bring these things up because sometimes there may be things about this that you've missed or forgotten or don't realize are there. When you click on Help and Learning, you still get the original search bar, that you can put your question in. The icons that used to be there that had the different topics that you could filter by now are just a list. And you can click on the word that you want, like family tree or memories or partners or whatever. But in addition, below there, and I don't show this on this screen, there's a lot of other stuff. There's a section with what they call common questions, things like getting started, resetting passwords, frequently asked questions, and other things. There's a place for recent articles where you can find out all the recent new things that have been posted there. And also there's self-help resources. There's a link to the wiki. There's a browse of the articles button. There's the FamilySearch blog. There's the Learning Center where you find classes and videos. Also the community and one-on-one help and social media. All those things are referenced at the bottom of that page underneath the filter for the different topics. So make sure you scroll down through the page and familiarize yourself with all the things down below. Okay, in February of last year, January, February of last year, they changed the family history centers to FamilySearch centers and more. And the big and more was the fact that at that point in January, they announced that you could use the FamilySearch Center premium content extension in any building in the church that ran the Leahona network, Wi-Fi network. If you have that extension put on your Chrome browser, you can then access through Leahona the FamilySearch Center premium content, just as if you were in the center on one of the center machines that were hardwired into the system. And you could get access to Ancestry and Find My Past and all the other things that the premium content allows you to get to. And so they just put that up, and then they actually made it available, announced it available to everybody. At the same time, they finalized all of their various sign-ins so that now you can use Facebook, Google, Apple, or your church account or your FamilySearch account to sign in. They added these others supposedly to make it easier for patrons to sign in. I think conversely, it also makes it less problematic and hopefully reduces the number of issues that they have with people calling in saying, I can't get in. So I think it's kind of a win-win situation. It's easier for the patrons and it simplifies things for the church as far as support goes. Okay, next thing that happened was the life sketch was changed to brief life story. On the person page, they've always had this brief life, or they've had this life sketch box. The problem with it was many of us discovered that was the ideal place to put a message, a warning message that there were problems with this record. And FamilySearch picked up on that and wasn't happy with our repurposing their life sketch into something else. So they decided they'd fix that. And so what they did is they rebranded Life Sketch as a brief life story and then posted in there, if there was anything in that box, please move the warning things over into notes. And when you make a note, there'll be a little box there that says, if you want to click this box to make it an alert note. And so when you do that, and I didn't actually show that little box, but it would be right up there at the top on the left-hand side as I was putting this note in. If I marked it as an alert note, then you get the little banner across the top. This says important research has been done on this person. Please read these alert notes, which is actually kind of a misnomer because you can only have one note that's an alert note. You can't have multiple ones. So you can click there, it'll take you directly to it. You can go to collaborate and find it under notes, or you can go into the right-hand column where notes are and click there. This is an example of one. The idea is these are for where you have a person that has a problem. Like I have an ancestor, Richard Catter, and we do not know who his parents are. We do know he was from Devonshire, England, and people keep trying to connect him with a Carter, who didn't even have the same last name, in London. It makes no sense. So we've finally had to put this on him in hopes to cut down the number of times people try to connect this Carter without any evidence of it being really his parents. And so this is what those are for, is for situations where there's an issue and you're trying to reduce the number of times you have to deal with that issue. Okay. In March, they opened up more editing to records. It's really interesting how often I find as I troll through, say, Facebook groups and things like that, how many people don't pick up on these things. Well, back in March, they allowed us to do some editing. So I found a record, 1950 census, where my great aunt, Lottie Mack, was listed as Lolly. And so to fix that, you just go on the page where it shows the record. You just click on the little pin to start editing. And then it opens up a whole list of things that you can edit. And it'll be under the essential information that I want to edit. So I'll click that pin. And then when that opens up the essential information, I can go down where her name is, change Lolly to Lottie, and then save it. And she'll now be Lottie Mack, Lottie Wilkins Mack on the index. Okay, about the same time, they also started doing some better onboarding for new users. If you want to see this in person, and we've talked about this before, what you do is go to FamilySearch.org, but don't sign in. And the screen you see before you sign in is this screen, which is designed for potential users. You can enter the name of a deceased relative, and it'll start taking you to the person to give you feel for what's on in FamilySearch. And then if you want to see more, you need to create an account, or in your case, sign in. But it's a great way to get people started. It never made sense that we had to sign people up and get them to come in before they find out what might be there. This way they can find out what might be there and have some experiences without actually even having to sign in at first. So that's been around now for close to a little over a year. Last April, they made their last big change to the person page, and that included the brief life history and alert notes. They added other relationships. You can now put in like the fan club people or a slave owner. You can also see all the sources over on the right-hand column. You can click and say, I want to see the sources, and they'll list the person's sources over on that right-hand column, and more, including the fact that there is a place here where you can click down where my little line pulls out, says my layout, my layout settings. And when you click there, you can rearrange the things that are in that right-hand or left-hand column. You notice I like to have that brief life history up at the top. FamilySearch wants it down at the bottom, next to other relationships, which is one of those new things. I like it right up top and center. So I set my page to show brief life history up at the top. Okay, that's also where you can go to set this so you either have two columns in the family member area, in the vitals area, and other information, or you can change it to one column. And you can also reverse the coloring and make it light on a dark background. So you do have some ways to edit this page a little bit. You need to become familiar with it. You may not even realize some of the features or some of the ways you can change things. Okay, in April, they made a change to messages and started calling them chats. So it's a little more than just a name change. You now can do searches in the messages now chats. They updated all the messages after 2022. From 2023 on, those messages became chats. The older ones they deleted. They gave us some time to save them if we had wanted it. But anyway, the ones we have left, we can search. We can create new chats, and if the person happens to be online, you can chat back and forth. Also, in these chats, you can add memories, images, and emojis, which was not possible with the messages before, at least not as easy. Okay, also, the portrait and landscape views were updated. The pedigree charts that are portraits and landscapes got an upgrade. I just read the other day that they're going to be doing this to the fan chart coming soon, so beware. Okay, in this case, if you click on a person, like over here where Charlotte York Carter is, my great-grandmother, if you click on her, you get a whole column now of her basic information from her person page. So you can see more about her, including a chance to click on her person page or go to her pedigree, which is what's already showing. You have option button up at the top. And the options are all these, and these are things you can toggle on and off so that you can decide how much you want to have showing on this pedigree. You know, do you want record hints to be something that can be seen? Do you want research suggestions, data problems, portraits, marriages, children, alternate parents and spouses, that kind of thing? Or do you want the dark mode, which is something they were working on at that point, which would change the background? Okay, in August, they had a data problem. We may have missed that or forgotten about it, but they lost some of our memories by accident. A small percentage. In my case, it was less than 1%, about 0.8%. So what they did is any of us that have lost some memories, if we go to memories to your gallery, you'll see this message if you still have some missing files. And it says open the restoration tool to see what happened. So when I click on it, it says I've restored 20%. That means I've restored 1 of 5. I have 5 missing memories. And I had 591 at the time. So like I say, that's about 1%, actually a little less than 1%. So if I go there, one of them that I could restore was this one of my mother. When she was age 16, I can restore that one because I know what the picture is. There's only one picture of her when she's 16 years old. So I know for sure what picture's missing. Okay, so since I can find that one, I'll go over here and click restore, and it'll let me go to my computer and I can pull that picture up again. And there it is. I click open, and it says it's uploading it. I want to upload the file. It got successfully uploaded, and now there it is back in the memories. The problem is I have a couple of those others that I didn't do a good enough titling or backgrounding on them to really be able to figure out where they are. So I may have a little harder job restoring those. Now, once you do get it restored, though, make sure you check all the details and facts over on the right-hand side and make sure they're accurate. And then you're done with that. Just a little self-help thing that you might need to do, and you might have forgotten that that happened. In September, they talked about get involved. I said here, get involved replaced indexing. That's not really true. The term get involved replaced indexing in the ribbon. They're still indexing. That didn't go away, as you can see on the lower ribbon. But get involved is what they call the indexing tab now. And it now comes with reports that can be viewed by ward and stake leaders and consultants. And so there'll be some people that can't see these reports, but if you're a consultant, you actually can see this. This is not information that gets put on the family history activity report. This is being kept separate from the FAR report. So under those reports, you have a basic graph area like this, so you can show different graphs based on what it is you want to see. And in my case, you can pick from either the stake level or you can pick your ward or select a unit if you're a stake leader. And so I think I picked the stake report. You also have filters that help set the time frame. You can see it for the last month, or you can set it for the last year. In my case, I wanted to go from February 1st, 2023 to February 18th, 2024. And so it gave me a whole year and a couple of weeks. And it's showing overall engagement, how many people in our stake in the different months actually were involved in the Get Involved program, and not very many. And if you go looking at Get Involved itself, before you go into these reports, this is the screen that you'll see what's on the right-hand side there. You'll notice it still has indexing. It has quick name review, which is a fun little activity that you can do really quick. Full name review, which is a little trickier, but these things are very vital now for some of our AI records that we're seeing because they need to be verified. This is a verification process. And then there's also a way to verify places. So you have 4 different kinds of things you can do under what used to be indexing. They're all forms of indexing. Okay, and they each have their own separate graph that you can look at. Okay, In October, SourceLinker was upgraded. More of a kind of a visual change than anything, but there were at least one nice, really nice feature that was added to it. So it's not really just the same old SourceLinker. The new version of it has one feature that's really neat, and that's the ability to edit the information while you're in SourceLinker, and you don't have to sit and write the things down and then go into the record later and fix them, except for one major thing. It still hasn't figured out how to fix the situation with the marriage records and getting the marriage records to update. So it works good for regular sources. So if I click on that little pin, because I'm on a guy named Nicholas Sands, the source says his name's really Nicholas B. Sands. And I found other records that had the B in it. But this was the first one that I sourced. I can go over there, click on the pin, and then edit his name, put in the reason why I changed his name, and then click save. And he's now Nicholas B. Sands. And I don't have to leave, wait until I'm done sourcing, then go over to his record, click on it, and try to remember what it is I want to put in there. It works really great for dates and places because you have to, remember a date and a place. And this way you can just see it on the screen and type it right in. Really a nice upgrade. But be careful, don't make changes just because that one record had something different. Make sure it's the best record, because sometimes you see records that really aren't very accurate. So you got to be a little bit careful with it. Okay, February of this year, we're caught up. It wasn't really a heck of a lot last year. At RootsTech, they announced this FamilySearch Labs. This was a wonderful improvement. What this is essentially is a place where they can experiment with new features and actually give us hands-on experience and get feedback from us. That's the big thing. They want our feedback. And that way they can tailor these records and make them better, or programs and make them better. So when they opened this up, there initially were 5 things in there. These are still the 5 things that are in the labs. These are 5 experimental programs. They've already told us the family group trees is definitely staying. It just may be edited and updated and changed, and it has been since it was first put up there. I suspect all of these will end up being part of FamilySearch without any trouble. So what we'll do is go through them one at a time. The first one was full text search. Oh, how I love this. All you have to do to get into it is click try it. And what it does is it takes you over to a search page. And what they've done is, using AI, they have created some databases, and they're just experimenting at this point, trying to find a way to provide us every word search ability on sources that are not real simple, easy to follow form type things. And so first thing they do is they warn you this is an experimental product. It might not always be available. They might pull it down to fix it or update it, or they might remove it and say, we give up. Okay, and when using it, you may encounter some errors and limited data. There's only a real limited data for this. And it's for full text searching in this case, which is wonderful, but only 2 databases. And they list them here. One database, and the thing that's interesting, it says only 2 databases, but they're both huge. One of them is the entire United States land and probate records database with millions of land and probate records, wills and administrations, deeds, all of that in one huge database. And for Mexico, what they call the notary records, which I believe are the national records not the church records, but the governmental birth, marriage, and death records, covering probably from the mid-1800s up to near the future, near the present. You only have a very simple search. You have keywords. So like if I was doing Mexico, I might put in birth, and then under name, put the person's name in. When I'm doing the US one, I don't care whether it's land or probate generally. I just put the name in and leave it at that. And that's all you have. You don't have really any other options for the first search. So I put in William F. Carter and I click search. And it comes back with a search engine, with a search result page that says there's 1,808 documents. Well, that's a few too many. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the filters. And I'm going to use two of them. I'm going to use record by record year. And on that, I'm going to say first that I want the 1800s because they start you out with 100-year periods, 1700s, 1800s, 1900s. Once I pick the 1800s, then it gives me the decades. And I want to see what I could find in the 1860s. So I just picked the number 1860, understanding that means that decade. Well, that reduced my 1800 total records down to 148. That's still a lot. So I said, okay, let's use the record place. And of course, I'm going to pick United States. I don't know if there'd be anybody in Mexico named William F. Carter. I kind of doubt it. But I picked United States, and then I picked Utah because I knew he'd be in Utah. And that got me down to 6 records. So using those filters, I got 6 records. And I said, okay, that last one down there that you can see on the screen, the third one down, talking about him living in Joab County. And I know in the 1860s, he lived in that county for a while. And so I wanted to see that record. And here's the original record. And what's so cool about it is you see the original document, and you can see this is in handwriting. So this was AI reading handwriting, and they got it right. And you get a transcription over on the side, which isn't always perfect word for word, but you can always go through. You can do a copy and paste of this and then edit it if you want, and you've got yourself a transcription of the record. And what's so nice about this is you also can attach it to tree. So there's going to be a lot of records in the way of wills and land records to our ancestors that we can now add that we probably couldn't do before, or if we did, it took a lot of work. The one thing about this, the search engine is very literal. So you may need to try different spellings. My William was William Foolsbury. I tried Foolsbury, I got nothing. So I went to just William F. And then I started getting results. I would imagine there might even be some under just plain William without the F. So you got to be a little bit careful, and especially with people whose names could get spelled different ways. Okay, the second one of these experimental things we did a whole class on just recently, family group trees. Okay, and so I would reference you back to the whole presentation we did a couple of weeks ago on family group trees. I think it was about a month ago, actually. And I'll show you the link for our YouTube channel where you can get to it. And I'll just give you a little highlight of this. When you click on your family groups, if you have a family group tree, you'll have a family group tree page that will come up. And it'll look something like this. It'll have a place where you can add memories to the people, because all the living people in this group now will have a new, unique living record that everybody in the group can see. They can see each other for the first time, see the same exact records of each other for the first time. And so because this is a private area, you can stick memories on there, and only the people in the group are going to be able to see the memories. You can put sources on the people, and only the people in the group can see the sources. It's a great advantage for families that want to build unity within their group. There's also a chat list down at the bottom. It's like a whole feed, a chat feed. And there's a place to go see the actual tree. So we'll go over there, and this is what the tree would look like for your group. The living people, for the first time, are going to have a way that they can actually see each other. And the way this tree is developed, it's like a portrait pedigree, but it's different in that all the children can be seen and their descendants can be seen, and they can all be seen at the same time. When I click on my daughter Amy to see her kids, it doesn't collapse my daughter Heidi's kids. It'll leave Heidi's kids hanging down there and add Laura's. When we go up here, you'll notice that I have both my father and my mother's side of the tree showing at the same time. Opening up my mother's doesn't collapse my father's. If I would click on my wife's tree to see her deceased parents, it wouldn't collapse my side. It would then show the whole pedigree up there. So this is a much improved semi-portrait pedigree. It's actually called the sibling view pedigree. And so this is a real nice advancement. This section here is all living people. And like I said, all of these living people can see each other and see these same records. So they can be packed with sources and memories and things like that. Now, the deceased people are coming from out of the tree, out of the combined tree, our collaborative tree. So in this case, you have a really, truly private tree, even though FamilySearch says there's no such thing in FamilySearch. There is now for these little living family trees, because that's private, only we can see it, so it's really ours. But the rest of this is the collaborative tree where the living or the deceased people are. Okay, with it came a new app called Together with FamilySearch. It even has with FamilySearch as part of the name. So I think Together was used by something else. This app works with the family tree group. And it's experimental, so it may change. And what happens is you're going to be able to interact with it, and the interactions that you do, the things you put on it, you'll be able to share with your living tree group people so they can see your responses. Right now, it's only got limited availability. It's not available in all countries, so it's limited by location. United States and Canada, I think, are the two that they've started with in English. And it's only available in an app in iOS form. So in other words, for Apple products, or as a website tool. You can go to it through Labs and just do it on the web as a web page. There's no Android version yet. There will be. Now, from what they wrote, this is what they said the purpose is. In a world of mass connectivity and social media, the core needs of genuine connection and identity are lost within the superficial landscape of current platforms, particularly for families. Capture the powerful, impactful experiences of your family and share them privately with your own family members. Create private family groups, share family stories and photos, connect to your ancestors, explore your family stories, and learn from the past to help strengthen the future. Together by FamilySearch is specifically designed to strengthen your family, past, present, and future. Strengthen family ties with Together by FamilySearch. It really is a cool app. If you have an Apple phone or a iPad, download it, check it out. Notice that every time you do something on it, you're able to save it to your family tree group if you've created a family tree group. You don't have to have the group. You could just do it for yourself. It has a lot of different kinds of activities and responses that you can give. But the big value is tying it to the group. Okay, and this is an example of the screenshots that they have for the iPhone, just giving you some ideas of what you can do, including creating avatars for each person in the group. Or actually, I think what you do is you create it for yourself. And then when other people use the app, they can create their avatar and then share it with the group. Okay, a third one is find help with AI search. This is a new search engine they've developed, and it uses artificial intelligence to help you get a better guidance for searching. It really is cool from the limited use I've had with it. What you do is you put in a question. And so I put in a question, how do I merge duplicates in tree? And what you get back is a step-by-step answer with references that are hot links to articles or videos or classes or whatever it might be that help explain what to do. So in this case, how to merge duplicates, there's 7 steps. It warns you about the ID numbers, and then it gives you 3 different articles that you can go to. When you click on the link, it takes you to the articles. This is really, I think, an improved, far improved version of the Help Center. I think this is where the Help Center is going. I think we're going to find this will ultimately replace our search engine in the Help Center. Big advancement. And then the last one of these is kind of a strange little one called Profile Quality Score. And what they did, FamilySearch, is they wanted to see if they could rate the people in tree with scores about how accurate their record seems to be. And it's not perfect in what it does, but it's very interesting. The parameters are, it has to be for records set with English. You can only read English right now. The ancestors have to be born between 1800 and 1920, and they have to be born in Canada, United Kingdom, or United States. And you have to enable this feature by going over to labs and say, go to experiment. That turns it on. You can come back here and click turn off if you want to turn it off. And so what it does is it uses an algorithm to read through the person's record and look for problems, look for weaknesses, look for things that are missing, look for issues like child born before the mother was born, the name of a person doesn't match the name on the attached source, or a person missing sources is tagged to their, a person missing source is tagged to their birth, so there's no sources, and things like that. So I went to a person, and here's Katie Geiger, and it says her record rates a medium. And since I've turned it on, I can see this on a lot of people. To see the profile quality part of the page, I click on the word medium, and up pops this profile score page where it kind of shows you why she's rated the way she is. She gets a real low score on data is complete and has tagged sources. Those seem to be the weak areas. So it then gives me actions to follow, specific things like birth date is missing a month, birthplace is missing a city, death date is missing, death place is missing, and so on. So it tells me specifically what I need to change. And it says it has 3 tagged sources, but there's no tagged death source because there's no death date. Marriage has no tagged sources, and residence has no tagged sources. Even though there's a residence here, there's no source tagged to it for some reason. Okay, so this is something that's new, trying to help us see if we have well-researched people. Now, there was also another change that came on that didn't go to the lab, that went straight on the web page, and this is their new cemeteries feature. You go to search and then to cemeteries. And it brings up this search engine where there's 2 things you can search. You can search cemeteries by their name, or you can search for people, or you can search for a cemetery and a person. Okay. Now, they started out, they didn't have very many cemeteries. Within a short time, they were up to over 310,000 cemeteries being shown. This does not cover the whole world. In fact, it's primarily focused on US and Canada, with a few cemeteries in other locations. The main caveat here is that the only burials, the only people you're going to be able to pull up are people who are already in tree and have a burial record listed where in the place it gives the name of the cemetery. The cemetery has to be named or they can't be identified for this program. And so it's not going to show everybody. It's only going to show people in tree that have a cemetery listed as a place for their burial. Okay, there's also a map that you can use to find a cemetery. You just click on try it, and then you can put a place in. I didn't show it over here, but I put Fresno, California. I found Fresno. And so I can make the size of the map change. So I opened it up a little bit with my fingers so that it was a little bit more detailed. And I can zoom in as much as I want because it says there's 40 cemeteries showing. That means there's 40 cemeteries they know of that have people buried in them that are in FamilySearch. That doesn't mean there's only 40 cemeteries. I would seem to think that on this map, there might actually be more. Okay, when you do see a cemetery and you click on it, a little page pops up and you'll see the name of the cemetery. This is Clovis Cemetery, just down the street practically from us. If I click on the card, it will then take me to what they have on that cemetery. So here's the Clovis Cemetery page. And it tells me that there are 9,128 people found in there. That's 9,128 people that are in tree who have Clovis Cemetery, Clovis, Fresno, California in the place. Okay. If I want to see only my relatives, I can click on only my relatives and it will filter out and using my tree, show me that in this case, it found 6 people. Now that's interesting because it's missing my mother-in-law and father-in-law and my wife's aunt and uncle. And there may even be more, but I know why. And there's a way to fix that. If you know there's more relatives in that cemetery, but they don't show up, what you need to do is go to their record. This is my wife's aunt. And go down where it says burial. And you can see it says she's buried in Clovis, but it doesn't name the cemetery. So I need to edit that and make it say Clovis Cemetery, comma, Clovis, comma, Fresno, comma, California, United States. Then the next time the system goes through and reads everything, it should put her in there. It won't happen instantaneously. It has to troll through the whole database looking for upgrades. But it was interesting because I saw people here listed as relatives that I did not know were buried in that cemetery. So in fact, most of these people, I did not know this is where they were buried. I would have thought they were buried over on the other side of Fresno. Okay, brand new as of yesterday. If you have African-American patrons that come in, we have a new feature for them where you can be searching for their ancestors and it will only pull up, like if you're in censuses, only showing people that are shown as being African-American or at least mulatto, mixed blood. Now, there's a catch. You notice I put in big letters up here the URL. This is the only way you can find that. You need to bookmark this on your computers in the center, bookmark it on your computer if you're going to need to use it with anybody, so you can find it, because you can tell this is not going to be an easy site to find, but it's outstanding. And I don't know, I think they're working towards trying to figure out a way to include it over on FamilySearch. But it will take you into African American records, things like the Freedmen Bureau and the Freedmen Bank and censuses and war records and things like this, and only return records of African Americans when it's marked African American, or the different synonyms that they have for that. You can also look for testimonials, famous African Americans. You can do some digging deeper. You can learn more about FamilySearch, and they have frequently asked questions. Outstanding new site, brand new now. Don't worry if you can't get this copied. You'll have access to this video, and you will also have access to the PDF of these slides, where you can just make a copy of this slide and save it. Now, in addition to the search engine, FamilySearch also put together a 14-page guide, 10 steps to reclaim your African roots. A great article. They provide a bit.ly link to it. And yes, that silly little bracket at the end is part of the bit.ly link. Don't knock it off or you won't get this. I checked it twice to make sure it really was needed, because that seemed kind of weird. But anyway, this is an excellent guide helping African American people walk through the steps that they need to do to find their ancestors. Now, in addition, a similar feature is just released also outside the main FamilySearch webpage for a new U.S. immigration search. So it's strictly for searching for immigrants to America, with its own search engine that only looks at immigration type records, records that would have immigration information, which would include some of the U.S. censuses, and of course, port records and immigration records and naturalization records and things like that. And it works pretty much the same way as the African American one. And pretty much the same thing. You've got to learn the link. It's a little bit easier. It's familysearch.org/en/united-states/immigration-records. Real simple thing to remember. Like I said, I hope they're going to find an easier way for us to find these. But these were brand new. These just showed up yesterday. I did not know about them until last night, so I threw them in here real quick. So in conclusion, I know this was a quick run through things, even if it did take 52 minutes. If you like this class, you can go to our YouTube channel. That's where you can find the class on the new family tree groups. The name of the channel on YouTube is Fresno North Stake Family Search Center Trainings. And if you subscribe to the channel, you'll get notified every time I post, and you won't have to worry about when they get posted. We also have a blog, and I put the link there for it. It's over at Blogspot. The advantage of going there is that besides having the link to the YouTube channel, you can also get a link to a PDF file of the slides for each presentation, so that you can see the actual slides. If there's something you want to remember, see, copy, whatever, they're there for you. So I hope that these will help you. I hope this was a good, helpful presentation to you. And we will be seeing you in about 2 weeks.